Welcome, YouTubers, to another episode in my Grammar Hero series. In this video, I'm going to work out 20 practice test questions involving circles that should closely mirror what you should expect to see on the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery, that is the ASVAB, as well as the pre-screening Internet Delivered Computer Adaptive Test, that is the PiCAT. More specifically, you should expect to see 2 to 5 very similar questions from this topic on the actual ASVAB and PiCAT. And as a quick reminder, you're not permitted to use a calculator or a reference sheet on the actual test. So whenever I use a formula in this video, you have to have it memorized. Likewise, in order to get the most from this video, you'll want to pause it after I read a practice test question, attempt to work out the question on your own, and then resume playing the video to check your solution. Finally, I quickly want to mention this. Please stop paying for tutoring or access to online boot camps. Guys, the vast majority of you are smart enough to pass this test on your first try, as long as you spend a few days to a month studying for it. Likewise, I am the biggest YouTuber in terms of having test prep content for the ASVAB and PiCAT. If I've helped over 95,000 people pass the ASVAB without tutoring them directly, chances are you do not need that to pass this simple test. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and get started with the video. This ASVAB PiCAT math knowledge practice test question says if a circle has a diameter of 45 units, how many units is its radius? So for this one, you have to understand that there is a defined relationship between the diameter and radius of a circle. That is, the diameter d is always twice as long as its radius. That is, d equals 2r, or 2 times the radius. In this case, we know our diameter is 45, and we're going to be solving for r, so divide both sides by 2 get r by itself. If you can't do 45 divided by 2 mentally, you have to do the log division. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 minus 4 is 0, but we got to drop down this 5. 2 times 2 is 4. 5 minus 4 is 1. Again, add a decimal and our 0 placeholder that we can drop down now. 2 times 5 is 10 with no remainder. So this one is D. Our radius is going to be 22.5 units. This easy ASVAB PiCAT math knowledge practice test question says, if a circle has a radius of 3 inches, what is its approximate area? Use 3.14 for pi. So to find the area of a circle, we use the formula pi r squared, where r is the radius. So this becomes pi. We're told the radius of our circle is 3. 3 squared. 3 squared is 9, so this is 9 pi. Of course, we're told to use 3.14 to approximate pi. So this becomes 3.14 times 9. We have to clear this decimal by moving it 2 places to the right. This becomes 314 times 9, albeit with 2 decimals to move back into our answer. 9 times 4 is 36, bring down a 6, carry a 3. 9 times 1 is 9, 10, 11, 12, bring down a 2, carry a 1. 9 times 3 is 27, plus 1 is 28, bring our 2 decimals back in. So we can see our area is going to be 28.26, which is answer choice B, 28.26 inches squared. This ASVAB PiCAT math knowledge practice test question says, what is the circumference of a circle that has a diameter of 10 centimeters? Use 3.14 for pi. So for circumference, you have to know one of two formulas. Circumference is either going to be found by using pi times diameter, or it's going to be 2 pi r, where r stands for radius, of course. We were given diameter, so we're going to use this first formula. Circumference equals pi. The diameter, according to the problem, is 10. So this becomes 3.14 times 10. Again, you could do this like this, 10 times 3.14, but you should be able to do this one mentally. When you multiply something by a power of 10, you move that decimal to the right according to how many zeros there are in the power of 10. So we're going to shift this one place to the right. 3.14 times 10 is 31.4. So the correct answer to this one is going to be C, 31.4 centimeters. This ASVAB PiCAT math knowledge practice test question says, if a circle has a diameter of 35 units, how many units is its radius? So for this one, you have to know some facts about circles, notably that the diameter of a circle is always going to be twice as long as its radius, that is d equals 2r. In this case, we know our diameter is 35, and we want to solve for r, so to do that, we're going to divide both sides by 2. This crosses out, leaving you with r over here. Now, of course, we got to convert this to mixed number by doing some long division very quickly. 35 divided by 2. 2 goes into 3 one time without going over. 3 minus 2 is 1. Drop down this 5, of course. 2 goes into 15 7 times without going over. Given that 2 times 7 is 14 with a remainder of 1. This 17 is going to be our whole number, of course. This remainder of 1 is going to be our numerator. And this 2 is going to be our denominator. So we can see that this one is going to be C 17.5 units. This ASVAB math knowledge practice test question says this: if a circle has a diameter of 75 units, how many units is its radius? You have to know that in all circles, the diameter is always going to be twice as long as the radius. That is, diameter equals 2r. This problem tells you that d equals 75, and you're going to be solving for r. Now that we know d equals 75, let's plug it in right here. Equals 2r. Again, we're solving for r, so we're going to divide both sides by 2. In doing so, we get to cross this out. This equals r. 75 divided by 2. If you can't do that in your head, you could always do it off to the side like this. 75 divided by 2. 2 goes into 7. 3 times without going over. 2 times 3 is 6. 7 minus 6 is 1. Bring down this 5. 2 goes into 15. 7 times without going over. 2 times 7 is 14. 15 minus 14 is 1. Add a decimal there. Add a decimal there. Add a 0 placeholder. Drop it down 2 times. 5 is 10. So the radius is 37.5. This ASVAB PiCAT math knowledge practice test question says, what is the area of a circle that has a diameter of 14 inches? Use 22 over 7 for pi. So we're finding the area of a circle. That's area equals pi r squared. We were given the diameter, but we need the radius for this formula. Therefore, you have to know that the diameter is always twice as long as the radius. If our diameter is 14, that means our radius is going to be 7. All right, so now that we know what our radius is, plug it in right here. This becomes, again, we were told to use 22 over 7 for pi. 7 squared. 7 squared is going to be 49. So this is 22 over 7 times 49. Write 49 as a fraction by placing it over 1. Cross reduce. This becomes 1. This becomes 7. This becomes 22 times 7, which is going to be 154 inches squared. If you couldn't do that mentally, do 22 times 7 off to the side. 14, 15. For this math knowledge practice test question for the ASVAB and PiCAT, we have to find the area of a circle that has a diameter of 14 inches, and we're told to use 22 over 7 for pi. So we have to know this formula: area equals pi times the radius squared. In addition, we're only given the diameter of this circle, not its radius. We're going to need the radius, so we have to know that the diameter of a circle is 2 times as big as its radius. That is d equals 2r. Plug in 14 for diameter, solve for r, and this is going to be 7 equals r. Plug in 7 accordingly. This becomes 22 over 7 times 7 squared. This is 22 over 7 times 49. Again, place this over 1 so we can quickly cross reduce. 7 goes into 7 1 time, 7 goes in 49 7 times. 22 over 1 is 22, 7 over 1 is 7. So this is 22 times 7. If you can't do that mentally, do it off to the side very quickly. This is going to be C 154 inches squared. This ASVAB PiCAT arithmetic reasoning practice test question says this: the area of one circle is 4 times as large as a smaller circle with a radius of 3 inches. The radius of the larger circle is. So we're talking about area of circles. That's going to be area equals pi r squared. Let's talk about the area of the smaller circle. That's going to be area equals pi times its radius squared. Its radius is 3, so this is going to be 3 squared. In other words, its area is 9 pi. We know that the larger circle has 4 times the area of the smaller circle, so its area is going to be 4 times 9 pi. 9 times 4 is going to be 36. So the larger circle has an area of 36 pi. Again, we want to know its radius, not r squared. This is r squared. How are we going to go from r squared to r? We're going to take the square root of 36. The square root of 36 is simply 6. So the radius of our larger circle is d6 inches. This ASVAB PiCAT arithmetic reasoning practice test question says, if the area of one circle is 4 times as large as the area of a smaller circle with a radius of 2 inches, what is the radius of the larger circle? Again, we're talking about the area of 2 circles, so I'm going to write down the area formula twice. That's area equals pi r squared, where r is the radius, of course. According to the problem, we know the smaller circle has a radius of 2 inches, so plug in 2 for r there. 2 squared is 4, so this is 4 pi. Again, according to the problem, we know the bigger circle has an area that's 4 times the area of the smaller circle. 4 times 4 pi is going to be 16 pi equals pi r squared. Again, we want to know the radius of the bigger circle, so start by dividing both sides by pi. This crosses out here and here, leaving you with 16 equals r squared. To get rid of this square, we're going to take the square root of both sides. This crosses out, leaving you with r over here. Square root of 16 is 4, so the radius of the bigger circle is 4 inches. This ASVAB PiCAT math knowledge practice test question says a circle has a circumference of 12 pi centimeters. What is the radius of the circle? So when we talk about circumference of circles, you have to know one of two formulas. Notably, circumference is equal to 2 pi r, or circumference equals pi times diameter. In this case, we're talking about circumference and radius, so we're going to use this top formula. Notably, circumference equals 2 pi r. According to the problem, we know our circle has a circumference of 12 pi. So let's plug that in accordingly, equals 2 pi r. According to this problem, we're trying to figure out what r, the radius, is. So we're going to divide both sides by 2 pi to get r by itself. This crosses out here, leaving you with r on this side. These pi's cross out. 12 divided by 2 is 6. So the radius of this circle is 6 centimeters. That's all there is to that one. You do have to know both those formulas for this test. ASVAB PiCAT math knowledge practice test question says how much fencing is needed to enclose a circular playground that has a diameter of 30 feet? Use 3.14 for pi. So for this problem, we're going to be finding the circumference of a circle. And there are two formulas you can use to do that. You can use circumference equals pi times diameter, or you can use circumference equals 2 pi r. Those are equivalent. In this case, we were given diameter, so we're going to use this one over here. Again, we're told to let pi be 3.14. We know our diameter is 30, so all we have to do is work this out. This becomes 3.14 times 30. Again, we're doing multiplication involving decimals. Move that decimal place 2 times to the right to make this 314 times 30, and let's work this out. These are all going to be zeros. Add a zero placeholder. This is 12, carry a 1, 4, and 9. Bring in our two decimals, 1, 2. So our circumference is going to be 9420, which is ASVAB PiCAT Arithmetic Reasoning practice test question says the area of one circle is 4 times as large as a smaller circle with a radius of 3 inches. The radius of the larger circle is. So we got to start by finding the area of the smaller circle. That's area equals pi r squared. We know its radius is 3, so this is pi times 3 squared. 3 squared is 9, so the area of our smaller circle is 9 pi. We know the area of our bigger circle is 4 times that. 4 times 9 is 36, so our big circle has an area of 36 pi. How are we going to find its radius? Again, area is pi r squared. We know the area of our big circle is 36 pi. This is 36 pi equals pi r squared. Divide both sides by pi to get r squared by itself. This crosses out here and here, leaving you with 36 equals r squared. We just want r, so take the square root of both sides. This crosses out, leaving you with r equals 6. So this one is d 6 inches. This ASVAB PiCAT math knowledge practice test question says if the radius of circle A is 3 times the radius of circle B, what is the ratio of the area of circle A to the area of circle B? So let's start with radius. We're not given those values, so I'm going to come up with the value on my own. I'm going to say the radius of circle B is 1. Since the radius of circle A is 3 times that, 1 times 3 makes this 3. Now we got to find the area of these circles. That's going to be area equals pi r squared. This becomes pi times 3 squared. 3 squared is 9, so this area is 9 pi. Let's do the same thing over here. This becomes pi times 1 squared. 1 squared is just 1, so this is just 1 pi. Let's compare their areas as a ratio. This is 9 pi to 1 pi. They have a common factor of pi that we can divide out. This crosses out here and here, leaving us with a ratio of 9 to 1, which is d. This ASVAB PiCAT math knowledge practice test question says if the area of a circle is 36 pi, then what is its radius? Since we're talking about the area of a circle, let's go ahead and jot down that formula. Area is pi r squared, where r is the radius, of course. We're told that its area is 36 pi, so plug that in right here. This becomes 36 pi equals pi r squared. Again, we want to know what radius is, so let's start by dividing both sides by pi to get r squared by itself. These pi's cross out, leaving you with just 36 over here. How do we get rid of this square? We take the square root of both sides. These cancel each other out, leaving you with just r on this side. The square root of 36 is 6, so the answer to this one is B6. ASVAB PiCAT Arithmetic Reasoning Practice Test question says if the area of one circle is 4 times the area of a smaller circle with a radius of 3 units, what is the radius of the larger circle? So we're talking about circles in area. So to find the area of a circle, it's pi r squared. We're talking about two circles, so I'm going to write down that formula twice. You do have to know this formula for the test. Let's find the area of the smaller circle first. And we know its radius is 3, so this becomes pi times 3 squared. 3 squared is 9, so this is 9 pi. We know this larger circle has 4 times the area of the smaller circle. 4 times 9 pi is 36 pi. This equals pi r squared. Again, we want to know the radius of this larger circle, so we're going to divide by pi here. This crosses out here and here, leaving you with 36 equals r squared. That is the radius squared. If we take the square root of both sides, we're left with r. The square root of 36 is 6, so the radius of the bigger circle is b. ASVAB PiCAT Arithmetic Reasoning Practice Test question. We're told that two go-karts, notably cart 1 and cart 2, are racing on a circular track that is 360 feet long. In addition, we're told that there are two cameras tracking each of the go-karts respectively, and the go-karts are on the track such that they create a 40-degree angle between the two cameras. Given this, we want to know how far apart those two go-karts are on the track. That is, we want to find the measure of this arc length right here. Thankfully enough, that's pretty easy to do. We're going to use theta over 360 times 2 pi r. Theta is the measure of the central angle. We know that is going to be 40 degrees according to this problem. 2 pi r is the circumference of the circle. Circumference is the same thing as perimeter, and we know that's going to be 360 according to this problem. Cross reduce like so. So therefore, we know the measure of this arc length, and the distance between cart 1 and cart 2 on this track is b 40 feet. This ASVAB PiCAT Arithmetic Reasoning Practice Test question says two go-karts are racing on a circular track with a perimeter of 360 feet. Camera 1 is following go-kart 1 and camera 2 is following go-kart 2. If the angle between the two cameras is 180 degrees, how far apart are the two go-karts? So in this case, you have to know that we're going to be finding the arc length of this circle. To do that, we're going to take theta, which is the measure of the central angle. We know that's 180 degrees in this case. We're going to divide that by 360 degrees. That is the number of degrees in the circle. And then we're going to multiply that by 2 pi r. 2 pi r is the circumference or the perimeter of the circle. In this case, we were told that the perimeter or circumference of this circle is 360. So all we have to do is 180 over 360 times 360. These cross out, leaving us with 180. So they're 180 feet apart on the track. This ASVAB PiCAT Math Knowledge Practice Test question says if a circle has a circumference of 8 pi, then what is its area? Since we're talking about circumference and area, let's just go ahead and jot down those two formulas to get started. Circumference is 2 pi r, of course, and area, as we should know, is pi r squared. Clearly, these formulas are related by radius. In addition, we were told that our circumference is 8 pi, so let's plug that in and see what we can do with that. If we want to get radius, I could divide both sides of this equation by 2 pi. In doing so, this crosses out, leaving me with r over here. These pi's cross out. 8 divided by 2 is 4. Now I know what r is. I can plug it in right here. This becomes pi times 4 squared. 4 squared is 4 times 4 or 16. So the area of this circle is 16 pi, which is d. This ASVAB PiCAT practice test question tests your understanding of circles. Specifically, we have two cameras, A and B, on a racetrack here. They have a central angle of 40 degrees. And given that, we want to figure out how far apart they are, which is the same thing as figuring out this arc length right here. Well, to find the arc length in a circle, you're going to take theta, which is the measure of the central angle, over 360. You're going to multiply it by the circumference of the circle. We have all these things. They have a central angle of 40 degrees, so we'll place that over 360. What is the circumference of our circle? It's the same thing as the perimeter, so that's going to be 360. Let's go ahead and reduce this. Cross out these corresponding zeros. 4 over 36 reduces to 1/9 times 360. This becomes 360 over 9. Again, 36 divided by 9 is 4. Just tack on that 0. So these two cameras are 40 feet apart on this track. For this arithmetic reasoning practice test question for the ASVAB and PiCAT, we have two cameras on a circular racetrack. Call this camera 1 and this camera 2, of course. They share a central angle of 60 degrees, and we want to know how far apart they are on the racetrack, which is that distance I just highlighted. Of course, that distance is the arc length, which we can find using this formula, theta over 360 times 2 pi r. Theta is that measure of the central angle. This problem said it was 60, so this is 60 over 360 times 2 pi r is the circumference of a circle. Circumference is the same thing as perimeter. We know this circle has a perimeter of 360. Of course, we could cross reduce this. This just leaves you with 60. So in other words, the distance from camera 1 to camera 2 is 60 feet.